that way. And hopefully we're going live. Yeah. It seems we are live. For the most part, I don't see a video yet. There it is. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us here on OreAni. This is the 2022 end of the spring season. We had I think we had a pretty decent spring. I wouldn't say it was super exciting, but I think the shows that came out were decent enough and provided enough entertainment for us all. With us for a short while, we'll have Dragon.
Hello.
Do you want Dragon Warrior or Dragon's good? What do you want?
Dragon is fine.
Alright. Then we got Vinny with us, as always.
Thank you for having me.
And we have Albert.
Hello.
Now, I don't know if anyone else can hear it, maybe the stream can, but if you hear like a buzzing sound or something, that's just a fan. So hopefully that's not too loud in the microphone for the stream, but if it is, I apologize. But today we're going to talk about the end of the spring season once again, and the shows that we just so happen to watch and finish. Well, some of us finished, not everyone. Our first title for today is going to be, if I can click this correctly, Aharen-san wa Hakarenai. And it looks like Dragon actually completed it all, which is I'm surprised. I didn't actually think any of my friends were watching this. So, what made you?
It was like a small, like kind of cute, like slice of life, and so that's why I kind of watched it, because I kind of like, it's one of those like my like chill animes where I can just have like a like fun laugh at like the like cute kind of fluffy antics that they go through. So that's why I continued watching it, and then I eventually like finished it.
So what was the whole show really about? Just them in school doing random stuff, or was there like any kind of arc that was put into there at any point?
It's very much like I don't think there was like an actual like arc that like lasted multiple episodes, and every episode had like something different, but they had like a specific scenario that would happen. It's like, you know, there's like the first meetup where like they're kind of like just trying to get to like know each other a bit, where like she's like very like soft spoken, like very quiet, and so that's when he's trying to like get to know her and like make friends, because she's the person that she's the corner seat that he's sitting next to, so like the only person that she could really introduce herself and talk to would be him. And basically we just kind of see their whole like build of like a friendship, and every episode had something different, where like, oh, like, you know, maybe like Aheden likes like claw machines, or like maybe she gets introduced to like, which is their version of like Pokemon Go, and like what if like one of them got sick, what would happen, like how would they take care of each other, and stuff like that. So there wasn't really like an arc where like they spanned over like 2 episodes. It was each like a small scenario that we got to see like how they would react in that specific scenario.
So was this purely just like a comedy, or was it any point trying to seem like it was a rom-com or anything like that?
It was very much like kind of rom-com, I guess. Yeah, I would say more rom-com than but still slice of life. It's not like very like drama based or anything. This was definitely like a comedy. I will have to say that some of the the meme aspects of their comedy is kind of dated, because like they brought back stuff like, you know, like the popularity of Pokemon Go, the popularity of like a fidget spinner. Like we don't really, you know, see people doing fidget spinners anymore. We don't see the huge like build. Like, I mean, definitely there's still people that play Pokemon Go, but it's not like how it was like when it first came out and that huge like popularity and stuff like that. But like it has like small little like memes that are kind of dated. But like as long as like you can get past like, oh my goodness, like it's kind of like a little bit, I guess, cringe because they're using dated memes. If you can get past that, it's just like a small, cute, like slice of life rom-com.
I see. Vinny, so how far did you get?
I watched about 3 episodes before I had enough of it.
I think that's...
Problem is that if you read the manga, it's kind of like that. It kind of idles for seemingly forever. There isn't really enough development once you get over all those weird quirks that characters have. So as I jotted down there, it feels a lot like watching Komi-san, but just less funnier and less characters to really go by. And I think that's really unfortunate since those are pretty much pitted against each other in the same season. If you want to pick and choose between, okay, which school rom-com should I watch, I'll say stick to Komi-san first.
Was that the same for you, Albert? Just the first 3?
No, I actually only watched the first episode, and I knew it wasn't for me. The adaptation didn't really work. I've read the manga to like 5 or 6 volumes, but I just don't feel like the direction was very anything exceptional. I mean, it's okay, but I didn't find it to be funny, unfortunately. Whereas when I'm reading the manga, I do laugh. But the anime didn't, and I didn't really care for how they did Aharan's voice. She's voiced by one of my favorite VAs, Inori Minase, but the fact that sometimes you hear her and sometimes you don't, you have to be able to kind of walk that fine line. And it just didn't seem like they did a good job of expressing how hard it is for her to talk out loud. And Raido being the only one that can kind of understand her, if at all. And so it's similar to, like Vinny said, to Komi-san. And I just felt that dynamic worked better. And that's why I only watched the first episode and decided it wasn't for me.
I see. Well, I think that pretty much covers it for Aheran-san, right? So let's move on to the next. Did you want to talk about Birdie Wing, or do you want to go past that? Or
sure, I can briefly talk about it. So this was kind of a random pickup because there was some buzz. I was interested because it was golf, girls golf. But in fact, that's not what it is. It is, if you go in with that mentality, you're going to be disappointed. It is much more shonen. It just happens to have a female protagonist in the shonen. And they have all kinds of crazy stuff. So she, calls out her super special move, which is in a golf swing. And if you take it as a shonen where they're battling and the punch is like Detroit Smash, right? You get it, right? But this is golf, so it passes you by. But this is, in fact, a shonen battle with mafia, underground, gambling, golfing going on, hustling, and all kinds of crazy antics. So if you go in with a mindset of just having fun, it's actually very entertaining. So. And it does have, there's 2, the main girl, Eve, gets interested in this other young player who just happens to be Japanese and is a protege, golf protege. So there's some Yuri vibes going on, but that's not really it either. So it's hard to explain, but if you watch the first episode, you kind of get where it's going, except it's crazier. It turns into a shonen battle with a whole kind of not a competition, but a match arc. So give it a try. I don't think it hurts to watch it. It has, let's see, what is it? Got a 6.9 on Mal, which is not great, but not bad either. So
Would you say it's kind of like what's that show? Prince of Tennis, where they over exaggerate the hits and stuff like that?
oh, there's this is a super move, and you know I do know some things about golf, and these girls who are teenagers are hitting the ball 240 yards off the drive. It's incredible. So yes, this is just crazy stuff going on, but it's fun. It's fun, and I haven't finished it yet. I think this one is actually 13 episodes. So I'm up to episode 9. But we'll see. I'm enjoying it, so I'll finish it out and maybe get back to you. But give it a try.
All right. The next title we have here, which is going to be Albert again, is Black Rock Shooter Downfall. Now, this was a thing on Disney, right?
Disney
It was on
Plus.
Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Yep. So in Asia, it's distributed and watchable. I don't know about the U.S. I don't have Disney Plus. I go with friends to watch all the Star Wars stuff. But you know, Black Rock Shooter, they're using the characters in this post-apocalyptic setting where Black Rock Shooter is named Empress, and the others, Dead Master and Strength, are also there. There's a couple of the others that are missing from previous incarnations of this franchise, but it's in fact a completely different settings. They were humanity's last weapon against the machines that took over the world, and it's supposed to be grimdark, but it's just not very good. It's unfortunate, but the animation is of that CG type. It's not very good. The direction also not very good. The battle scenes not very good. The enemy is not very good. There's one creepy doll-like, Cupid doll-like enemy that serial rapist without the G. No, so they did this grimdark setting, but it's just not very good. So I can't recommend it.
So I have a question, kind of how you're explaining it. So I think, was it the first season was like these characters represented the girl's inner self, right? So is that no longer the thing in this, or?
Completely not. This is like a parallel story that, it's not even parallel, it's just a completely different story, just happens to use the same character designs.
So it's kind of like Tenchi Muyo and Tenchi in Tokyo, right? Where they have two different stories and just all the same characters?
Kind of, yeah. Kind of. So if you want to watch Black Rock Shooter, the OVA obviously was the original, but it's way short and it doesn't make a lot of sense either. I would recommend the old TV series where, like you said, they represent, you know, girls' inner turmoils and manipulation going on and kind of a psychic dreamscape. That one I did like, although it was not perfect. It was far better than Dawnfall.
All right. Thank you for that. Let me go ahead and move on to the next title we got here, which is... I actually wanted to finish this, but I just kept on playing around it. I'm kind of sad I didn't finish it. I probably will finish it as I wait for the new season. But it's Daimon.
Daimon. Yeah.
Recipe for Happiness. So I think I got maybe 8 episodes into it. So, and it's a 12 episode series that's complete. It looks like everyone else except for Vinny, you didn't finish it, right?
No, I watched up to 3. I just got behind.
Oh. So what did you guys enjoy about it? What was like I'll admit, it was kind of interesting, but for some reason it wasn't something that I was like 100% invested in it. That's why I think I kind of fell behind, but I still kind of want to complete it because it's not a bad show, but...
Albert, do you want to talk about it first?
No, you talk about it first, and I'll tell you why I watched it. So, go ahead, Dragon.
I watched it just because I just found like wagashi very like interesting, and I just loved seeing all the wagashi that they were making, and also I just thought like it was another one of those just like kind of like comforting like animes after like kind of like watching a bunch of like intense ones like that we'll talk about after, like, you know, like a lot of like shonen like action ones like Skeleton Knight, Shield Hero, and like this was kind of like just one of those like, okay, I need like a breather and just like be like more calmed and relaxed, and I just kind of enjoyed like the whole story of like um just like how the relationships built amongst each other, and I just kind of found some of like the like I enjoyed like the small comedy aspects that they had in it, and I don't know, I just overall just felt comforted by the anime, mostly because it was a slice of life. But yeah, that's mainly why I watched it.
Yeah, so it is a slice of life, and when I first heard about it, it's set in Kyoto. They do speak the Kyoto dialect, although I think most of the voice actors are not from Kyoto, so they did a decent job. There's a couple of weird things I noticed, but I listened to it in Japanese, so it's nice to hear different dialects for me. And it's, you know, set in the wagashi, which is Japanese style confectionery, so like treats and snacks. And the number one reason I started watching this is that the series composition, so the head writer essentially, is Reiko Yoshida. And if you don't know her name, you should, because she did Heike Monogatari, Violet Evergarden, High School Fleet, Hana Yamata, Non Non Biori, Majestic Prince, Tamako Market, Girls on Panzer, Bakuman, and K-On, just to name a few. So she's a huge veteran of the industry, and all her works, I think, are just really well written. The story flows, each scene connects to the next, all of that, right? So I started watching this, and yeah, this is top-notch writing. I think I don't know about the original source material, which I think is a manga, but the adaptation is excellent. I think all 12 episodes work really well together, and I just really enjoyed it as a slice of life. So if you're a slice of life fan, you really, really should check this out.
Definitely.
So it's kind of interesting the titles you mentioned, and this show, because like rather than saying the show is slow, it has this very mellow feel to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which makes it appealing to a lot of people, I believe. And I think that's one reason I was still okay to watch it, even though I wasn't really too invested in the characters. Because it overall, when I was watching it, I still was okay with it, but for some reason, just I couldn't find myself getting really invested into this show. And I don't know why I can't get into it, but hopefully as I watch more, I'll enjoy it a little bit more. But wasn't the overall thing, and I kind of hinted, was the girl looking for a father? Did that come to any conclusion, or is it just left open? And
I mean, because we could already infer just from appearance-wise who her father is, but there never really was that like closure in the show.
Yeah, I think the manga is ongoing. It hasn't concluded, so, but it ends in a nice, heartwarming place.
I see. All right. Thank you for that. Let's see here. What do we have next? Oh, Skeleton Knight? Really? We watched this. Let me get the title card for this real quick. How do you pronounce this? Gaikotsu Kishi-sama Tadaima Isekai o O- Odekakichu?
Yep, you got it.
Skeleton Knight in Another World. I am getting better. Huh? Yeah. Like I've mentioned this before that I've read the light novel, so I kind of knew the general direction this was going and some of the stuff that was happening. And I was actually kind of surprised with how they kind of toned down some of the scenes that I remember reading about for this show, even though it kind of started off very harsh with that first episode and that even with that warning it gave us. But I think what was it? Was Dragon the only one that finished watching this?
Maybe.
Yeah. So what would appeal to this for you? Like,
I think for me, what appealed to it was, I mean, I think I kind of just like kept watching it mostly because I just liked some of the comedy. And then I think by the time I was like watching it, I kind of just like continued on, and I was just like, you know what, maybe this will just be one of the other animes that I finished this season, because it was just one that I was like, okay, like it seems like an okay watch, and so I just kind of just finished watching it as it came out.
I see. So I think what Skeleton Knight in Another World was this gentleman. It's an isekai into I believe it's a game, right? Where
Yes.
he's inhabits his character that he made, and now he's going around helping the elves free other elves, right?
Well, at first it was that, you know, he was just trying to find a way to like start kind of settling into the fantasy world that he got isekai'd in. And so he's like, okay, well, the first thing I should do is just, you know, try to get in finding a job. And his best job that he could think about was just joining the guild and just doing quests. And so for a while he was just kind of like doing quests and just living off of the gold that he would be getting from quests. And at some point he I think it was that he overheard that there was like some type of distress, and it was that like he helped free elves with the I don't remember her name, but with the other dark elf that is also trying to free more elves. And from then, like, she was like, oh, like, you know, you're like well adept at like, you know, like helping, and because like I see that you are like trustworthy, could you help me continue freeing more elves? And that is basically how their kind of like contract and like partnership started. And so he was just helping her free elves the whole time, and they're kind of just going from different situations of like freeing elves to later on we find out there's a Nekomimi ninja where she's trying to free other like beast people, and so he helps her free them, and she in return they get information about more elves that are captive. So it's all like it's just this whole dream about trying to like freeing all like captives of whether it be elves or the beast people, and that kind of journey. Yeah.
All right. But in a sense, it's just your typical OP character isekai, right?
Yeah. It's very much just your typical like, oh, this person gets isekai'd and they're isekai'd into their like avatar who's like super overpowered, and we just see their journey throughout the fantasy world.
All right. Thank you. Let's see here. I bet Albert just probably saw the first few episodes, right? So it wasn't something you were excited about as far as isekais go.
I've been reading the manga, although I kind of stopped. I think I'm at volume 8. I'm kind of curious to see how far it went. I guess I could just watch the last episode.
I can tell you where it left off. So in the last episode, we end off where there's one guy who like is like a beast tamer, and he
Oh.
kind of like has like these chains that are like his like curse chains, that is what he uses to tame them, and he has like a curse symbol that is his magic. And we basically end off where the Skeleton Knight is fighting the Hydra, and they eventually kill off that evil beast tamer, and they kill off the Hydra, and that's basically where we leave off.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess they didn't get to the true conspiracy part yet. I don't know if this will get a second season or not, but I don't know. It even in the manga, it just kept getting bigger and bigger, and this conspiracy grew and grew to involve the kingdom and the church, as it always does in these series. And then it just kind of got repetitive after that.
We kind of talk about that, like at the very last moments. It's the meeting of like the princess with I think the elves, and they're like saying like, oh yeah, like my brother had this side rooting for him, and my late brother had this side rooting for him, and they've all kind of just been trying to like do some type of thing. And so we kind of get into the conspiracy, but like that's where we haven't.
So I mean, it's perfectly fine isekai if you like your OP character, but that's not what I'm actually interested in anymore, right? So it's not that it's necessarily bad. I'm not interested in that OP, protagonist story, and B, it was some really weird choices to highlight the content warning stuff with right off the bat. Did you really need to show the girl being almost raped? And then later on
in the first episode.
Yeah, it starts off with that, and then in the very first episode later on, you see it from a different angle. So they had the attempted rape scene shown twice in very details, when in the manga it's 2-3 panels at most. So I was watching this going, okay, there's a content warning. Okay, there's attempted rape. I don't remember it being that lengthy. Wow, they really want to show it, don't they? And so I watched the point, I think episode 3 or episode 2, where he picks up Ponta, right? The fox spirit.
The little spirit pots.
Yeah, and then I just wanted to see how they would animate and voice that character, and that was good enough. Because I knew the rest of the story, and I just felt really uncomfortable after that first episode. The second episode, there's a lot of hacking and slashing of monsters and monster heads flying and things like that. It just seemed really weird. Instead of this fun, let's go adventuring, it was more of, we're going to inject some dark and gritty stuff because we can't. And it didn't feel, I wasn't feeling it. So that's why I dropped it after 2 or 3 episodes.
I guess the best thing you can say about this show is there's no really harm vibes coming out on the main protagonist, as you would see on the other isekai OP characters. But let's say that's it for the Skeleton Knight, and move on to this next one, which I absolutely loved. This title here done.
Yeah.
Healer Girls.
Oh my god, music.
Or Healer Girl, I should say. I keep on saying girls, but it's just Healer Girl. And let me see who watched this actually. Myself is the only one that finished it, so I'll take the lead on this. So, Healer Girls, in this world, we have a new class of I don't know how
Support.
you
A support class, right?
yeah, a support class, kind of these people basically they can sing and help heal people. Now it's not to the point like they can heal all wounds and stuff. It's like more or less scratches, small injuries. It can also help elevate your like kind of like maybe your will to live or make you feel happier when you're sad type of thing. You know, just kind of like what music generally does for a lot of people, but it actually has a stronger effect when these girls sing it. And as you go throughout the show and you realize that they actually have done a lot of research on this stuff, but a lot of it's also still kind of relatively new in this world. It's not like it's been around since the beginning of time. It's probably been around for, I would say, maybe 50 years, 70 years, if anything. That's the feel I get. But, you know, they're always doing constant research on how music, different music affects people, and how they're trying to apply it into the medical field along with surgery to help improve chances of their surgeries that are going on. And it's just it's really interesting how they're trying to use the healing girls singing in different applications. And as we're going through the show, we're following these three girls, Hibiki, Remi, and Karin, or Kana, sorry, Kana. And they're all happen to be the apprentice of this one healer that is known as I believe she's like known as the witch of the field, because her abilities are just so enchanting. You know, they kind of give her that kind of title. But she's one of the highest known members within this field in Japan. And as these three girls are training underneath her, we get to see their growth from being apprentices to eventually getting a license and raising their licenses up to do more things on their own. And while all of this is really fun, the main thing I honestly enjoyed the most was the singing, because they did a lot of singing within this show. And a lot of the songs were just really fun and interesting to listen to. And especially this one episode where they're having a cultural fest, and one of them was really tired, so she decides to sing to her to help her rest and to get her energy back. And it was just a really fun song, and that's what really got me going with this. While everything else was really interesting and great, it's just the music is what kind of made me want to watch this a lot, and I was really excited to watch this every week. And it's kind of interesting how, as you go through the show, how all the characters are kind of tied to the main teacher, Ria, or I think they call her Ria, but I think her name is Mardia, and how they all had different encounters with her at a young age, and how it's made them want to become these healers because of her, and now they get to train underneath her. Now we eventually do meet another group of healers that kind of have this little rivalry with each other, but in a sense they always kind of work with each other and try to help each other out, and it's kind of fun to see this. And it's overall it's a really good a good show, and I would kind of recommend it to a lot of people, but honestly I kind of hesitate saying who I would recommend it to, because I don't know. I kind of I want people to watch this, but it's just that I don't know who would be my target audience for this.
Yeah.
Do you kind of get what I'm saying, Dragon?
Yeah, I mean, because like, I think like we definitely want like a lot of people to just at least listen to the music that comes from the show because it's just so nice and like soothing and but like it's just kind of hard to kind of figure out like oh like who should we like recommend it to because it's kind of like will they actually enjoy the story behind it that's connected to the whole music aspect of it.
But yeah, it's great, and I kind of wish other people would watch it. But if not, it's finally done, and it's kind of interesting how it kind of does this whole circle back at the end. How they kind of ended how where one of the characters started to want to become a healer girl. I thought that was really fun. But yeah, I've been listening to their music. I found their music on YouTube, and I've been listening to it a lot. So that's how much I enjoy it.
It's so good. We always listen to the opening every time we watch it.
Yeah, the opening's really good. But this show's got my recommendation, if that means anything to anyone. The next show. Oh, Vinny, did you kind of not get into it, or is it just one of those shows that?
I just simply did not have much time this season, so I basically prioritized the bare minimum.
That's what I was thinking. 'Cause I thought you would probably enjoy it.
I probably would, yeah.
Next up we have. Oh, do I even have a title card for this? I don't. We'll just turn off the title card for now, then.
How could you?
But it's the what do you call this? The Ascendant. Oh, wait.
Ascendant of a Bookworm.
Of a Bookworm season 3. Yeah, and this was actually a very, very short season. What was it, 10 episodes, right?
Yeah, 10.
And,
So sad.
yeah. So, Vinny, since you've been kind of quiet, what'd you think of this one? I think you've even been reading the light novels, right?
Yeah, I'm up to part 4, volume 8 on the light novel. I read it through the entirety of the web novel, read through the short story, blah blah, you name it. I probably read the whole thing. I'm pretty much obsessed at this point. Okay, so season 3. Apparently it was something of a miracle that season 3 happened at all. Having said that, so apparent rumor is that they were originally given budget and schedule for 8 episodes, and the production, animation production, fought to add 2 more episodes to bring it up to 10. Having said that, if you read any of the Reddits or what have you, there's a tons of people complaining about how short the series was, especially the ending. And I agree that it should have been 12 episodes to give a proper closure, knowing that it's highly unlikely there will be another season. Season 3 basically covers the second half of the part 2 of the series, which covers Mine's life as a apprentice shrine maiden, and it ends with yet another tragedy that befalls at the end of each part, where she has to sever the tie with her biological family and be adopted into the nobility in order to protect them. This was never really known as a quality animated series. It's kind of middling at best. And I found that there's certain episodes they did use a little bit more polish to it, but it just couldn't help but to feel that whole series was just rushed through. There's a lot of smaller and medium-sized detail that was completely cut off from the editing block just to make it fit, and which is unfortunate that it severely lowered the impact of what the end game of the season 3 was all about. It was supposed to be very tragic, it was supposed to be very tear-jerking moments, of all those weights and the repercussions just all crashing down on at the same time, but it kind of became something of a lighter tone ending, which really did not sit well with the fans of the series. Basically, if you're the fan of the series who read the light novel or manga and watched the season 1 and 2, you probably would have finished the season 3 and complaining all the same as I do. As for people who has never seen this series before, I'll still recommend them to watch the season 1 and season 2 and then move on from there to the light novel, because I just simply cannot justify season 3 being good enough to watch as it is and without having to read the original source.
I honestly found this season to be kind of boring until it got to the end. And the end of it was really fulfilling to me. I was happy that what happened, not necessarily what happened to mine, but how the series ended. Because I would say at the beginning I was kind of let down with how things were going, because it was very mellowed down and just a lot more of like her going through and experimenting with ink. But most of the time, I swear that's all I could remember.
Problem is that was supposed to be the minor part of the second half of the part 2 of the series. If you read the light novels, first half of the part 2 was all about Mine acclimating into the lifestyle of the temple, how she learned to get used to it, how she learned to deal with all those little problems that comes her way, and it wraps up with this big old blessing that create a whole lot of a problem. Second half of the part 2, which is this what this season 3 is all about, it was supposed to be somewhat of a feeling doom and gloom. There's like a storm coming at you. You just don't know how big and when it's gonna come. But as if you read the series, you feel that there's something coming. It's just slowly but surely eating away. That something bad is going to happen. Something bad is going to happen. It's just gonna get worse and worse and worse, and from there on. And it was supposed to accumulate all those small events that was dropping hint, turning into these big old events where the end game happens. But anime just simply failed to portray any of that. At the end, it happens where, as you said, Hank, people is going to remember more about all those something of a nothing experiments that the mind does with her friends, like creating the ink and stuff like that, more so than all those doom and gloom stuff that was supposed to be more emphasized on this part of it. So I just feel so bad.
I'll have to get with you later on and figure out where exactly to start.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the one thing I did notice, which was kind of fun, minor little detail, which I don't know if anyone noticed, but if you watch the ending credits, at the very, very end, you'll see like all the family of mine hanging down. And then once you get to a certain point where Mine's family gets a new member, you see that new member also added to the end credits. I thought that was kind of cool how they switched up the ending like that.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, yeah, hopefully the next season, when they decide to release it, it'll be more thought out.
It'll be hard.
But let's see. Next up, we got, what's this? John Tamapong, Mahjong
Skip
Sopon.
it.
Oh, really?
Skip it. It's just a 2-minute short based on characters that are part of either an online or a gacha type, game for mahjong. So it's just a sketch comedy for 2 minutes of characters you have no idea who they are, and if they're not, they do ridiculous mahjong moves. That's it. It was a random thing on Crunchyroll that I just played through because they were 2 minutes.
I see. So then next up we got Kaguya-sama. Kokura Setai Auto Romantic. So of course, if everyone knows Kaguya-sama Love is War, this is the 3rd season, right? I believe.
Yes.
And I have to say I was surprised with the show because they released 2 episodes right at the very end, right?
Yes.
Or at least that's how it felt to me, because I remember one week we being on this episode, then the next week I was like 2 more. I'm like, what? Let me see who watched this. It looks like I'm the only one who finished it all. Well, I have to say, besides the ending being surprising, I almost spoiled it for myself a little bit because they actually released a trailer for those last 2 episodes on YouTube. When I saw it, I was like, what's this? And I clicked on it and I started seeing some parts that I was like, no, pause, stop. And afterwards, after seeing the whole last 2 episodes, we went and watched that trailer, and it was really, really cool how they framed that trailer for these last 2 episodes. And I have to say, the build up to that point, from I think it was like a whole 4 episodes for this whole arc of the Cultural Fest, right? Was amazing. And that's the only thing I could really remember about this whole season, besides the wrapping episode, which was hilarious. But I got goosebumps watching the end of this season, and I don't want to say much about it because I don't want to spoil it for those who haven't seen it. But if you've been watching Love is War, then and you haven't finished, I would say the ending's kind of worth it, and it was really enjoyable and really fun. And it seems like they gave us a nice conclusion. I don't know if they'll add more, but it seems like there's probably going to be more content to add after this. But if they were to quit it just now, I think it would be a good stopping point either way as well. So Albert, did you stop for any particular reason, or you just ran out of time?
No, I'm just out of time, so I'm trying. I think I'm like episode 7. I did watch the rap one and a couple other after that. So yeah, this season they expanded and added that Kaguya's technically niece, although they're roughly the same age, right? Maki. So that I did enjoy the rap episode. That was really well done, although the rapping in Kangmin was far superior. And best girl, Hayasaka. So I will finish it.
Yeah, so that's why I kind of didn't want to spoil it for you, because it's really well worth it. That's all I have to say. So if you guys are watching it and haven't gotten to the end, I implore you to try to find some time to finish it off. Other than that, not much else to say about Kaguya-sama, right? I mean, it is a story that you have to watch the other seasons to get to this point to enjoy the antics and get the bond with the characters, so you can feel how they feel. But other than that, the only other romantic show here that we got up next is A Couple of Cuckoos, or The Cuckoo's Wedding, or sorry, or Fiance. Well, how is it?
I thought I remembered it being like a couple of cuckoos. Something like that.
Oh, here it is. I found the title card for it now. forgot what Crunchyroll called it. Let me pull this up
I
real
think they
quick.
called it a couple of cuckoos.
Yeah, a
from
couple
what
of
I
Yeah,
read.
that's
Cuckoos.
what's showing as the official
Yeah,
title.
I think on if you were to search online for the manga, they called it the Cuckoo's Fiancé or something like that, or something strange for the manga. Because I've seen it around. I never read it, but I was kind of interested somewhat because I do like sometimes these rom-coms.
Probably
And
not an official translation. That's why.
yeah, probably. But it's definitely not done, and I'm actually surprised now looking at it. It's slotted for 2 cours, so it's 24 episodes, and we're on episode 11. So we definitely got a lot more to go, and I believe it also came out kind of late compared to all the other shows. So I think that's why it's still on. We're waiting for an episode 11. But it's this boy who loves a girl who has to go through a bunch of problems to try to get said girl while also having other girls surround him, in a nutshell. It's nothing too great, I would say, about it. The comedy's not as great as I've seen in some other ones. The only, I think, catch for this whole show is the fact that the boy in the show was swapped with a family at birth with the female. Let me get a list of their names because I can't remember their names. I'm sorry. Erika. So Erika was swapped with the Nagi at birth. So they've been living with different families, and they're introduced to each other in high school, showing that they were swapped and that they want to get to know their kids more in depth, and they kind of have this idea that rather than pull any family member apart from each other to get their kids to the right kid, that they might as well just have Erika and Nagi marry each other to bring the family closer. But of course, Nagi doesn't want that, and neither does Erika. Erika wants to live her own life and do things her way. But Nagi also is in love with another person, which is a classmate, and he's doing everything he can to study and become the top of this class because the girl he so happens to love, Segawa, is the top of the class, and she has this thing where she announced that she would only date a person that's smarter than herself. So that's why in the show he's always constantly studying and trying to become the number one. And eventually he beats her once and wants to confess, but she rejects him, saying, you know, you've only beaten me once. I've won this many times, so you're still not technically better than me. And you have this nice little comedy skit with them two now competing with each other, while she does know how he feels and he wants her to accept those feelings, but there's also an underlying issue underneath all that and why she can't accept. So I think as we go through the show we'll learn more about that. But we also have Nagi's younger sister, which is Erika's younger sister biologically, and this whole thing where they're trying to learn how to get closer together as sisters. But you also kind of see that there's this underlying feelings with Sachi and Nagi. So there's that whole trope of making fun of, you know, the younger brother and younger sister, or younger sister loving the older brother thing. But at least it's not like done aggressively like in some shows, like OreAni. That was like really messed up show. But it's a decent enough show, but I think I don't know how to explain it. It's okay, but it's not a show I can easily recommend because it's too, I think, mediocre. and its story and everything. And I think there's other shows that have done this kind of thing, this love triangle thing better. But overall, it's still enjoyable if you do watch it, but not much else to say about it. What did you think, Dragon? So you've seen a few episodes, right?
Yeah, I kind of just like watched it here and there because this was still when we were watching while I was still busy doing like schoolwork and stuff. I don't know, from what I got from it, it seemed like okay. Like I wasn't like particularly like, oh, like this is something I like want to watch like constantly. So like I'll probably try to go back and like actually give it a watch like of a consistent amount of like episodes, because I only like came in like every now and then, and I'd see like you guys are watching and I'd be like listening to it in the background and like checking it out every now and then. But like I wasn't like, I didn't have like my full attention on it, mostly because like I wasn't there to like consistently watch it, so it wasn't something I was like focusing too heavily on. But like from what I got, it seemed like okay. It was like an okay watch, I would say.
All right. Next up is Shikimori-san is not that cute, or something like that, right?
Shikimori-san is not just a cutie.
Oh, not just a cutie. I said that wrong. Not that cute. Kawaii dakeja nai Shikimori-san. Yeah, so I don't know how I feel about this show. I will admit there's this one arc in it that I absolutely loved, and it was really cool how they panned this this little story arc within the cultural fest. But other than that, Izumi is the thing that kills this show for me. I don't like Izumi. I don't know what it is about him that just upsets me. Like he's kind of like that protagonist that has a harem that all the girls like him, but he can't get a hint. No, that's not what it is, but he irritates me like those protagonists. That's how I feel whenever I see him. And it's just, I don't know. Shikimori is really cool, really fun, and her friends are really interesting as well. Especially this last story with the very lethargic friend. What's her name? Yui or something like that, or they call her Hachimitsu, right? So
I don't remember the names, to be honest.
Her arc within this last episode was so great. Just, it was so fun to see that smile on her face, and it was just really, really amazing. And I can't say I felt anything like that for our main protagonist, Izumi. So, but I'll admit, Shikimori is really cool. She has these eyes that just make me go, oh my god, she's gonna kill someone.
yes.
Or she's looking deep into my soul. But other than that, I would say if you want to see anything that was kind of fun, was the whole story arc with Kamiya, and that was really great. But I heard, from what I've seen, it's also run into quite a few issues because they've had a lot of they've had two like recap episodes, kind of, I feel like, or filler episodes, I would say, that happened. Like one of them was just the first episode again, but with the commentary, and then they had another filler episode again later on, like not even, probably like 3 episodes later. So I don't know what kind of issues they were having, but it kind of was deflating to the show, because we would be like, oh, let's go to the next oh nope, wait, there's nothing on this week, we gotta wait till next week. And even then we kind of forgot about it.
I remember that. Like, I remember it because it should have been I remember like it should be coming out like on the same day as like Spy Family, and then I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna be watching Spy Family and Shikamori today with the whole group, and then I would go and like check and see like beforehand like what episodes had come out, and then I'd be like, wait, is this a mess up? Where is Shikamori? Like Spy Family's here, but there's no Shikamori. I'm like, and that always kind of like threw me off. Like that is weird. It should have been out today. But yeah.
Does Shikamori have a first name? Or is Shikamori her
most
first
like-
name? Because I've only heard her called Shikamori.
I don't know. Actually, let me take a look.
But while you do that, I think that's it for Shikamori-san.
Well, I'm looking at the character list on Mal, and it just says Shikamori.
But
So
I think it
I
still has a
don't
few
know if-
episodes left. So we'll see how that ends. But
Mhm.
yeah, Shikamori, Izumi.
I will say that I was talking to another friend of mine and Tanks, and he did say, like, after watching some of it, he did say that reading it was a lot better than watching it.
Well, I'm gonna have to find the manga then. Next up, we got. Oh, this great show. This is a great show. Right? Koi wa sekai seifuku no auto de. Love after
yes,
war
love after world domination. Ah!
Wonderful show. The ending was kind of fun too.
Mm.
I kind of wish this went on longer.
Yeah. Honestly, I could go for it being long. I very much enjoyed this one. I was very much always looking forward to watching this.
What about you, Albert? I saw you. You were one of the shows that you finished.
Finished it quite a bit. It was just very cute. And as ridiculous as the premise was, it all worked out, I thought. And the way I did wish that they had a little bit more, relationship development. But they had their fights, they got over it, understanding each other, supporting each other, despite being in complete opposite corners of the world domination scheme. So, yeah, it's just a fun, anime series. So, I would recommend it to most people, I think. And with a caveat that, it's anime, so holding hands is like progress. Come on, at the very end, at least kiss.
So, speaking of that, about this, having no real big developments, I think the show, mainly to me, was it just had those moments within each episode that just was really fun and great. Like each episode had at least one moment that I was like really fond of or really thought was great, interesting. One interesting about this whole world that I thought was just totally ridiculous was that the whole evil organization was treated as like any kind of like side job out there. You just apply and you can try to get yourself into it. And that,
Not a side job, it's a main job.
or yeah,
And
mate. Sorry.
In fact, the company, right, Gecko, the evil organization, is actually a really good company. They have benefits, they have dorm rooms, they have cafeteria. Compared to what the Gelato Fly, the heroes have to do all these commercials and getting sponsors, and Udo, the red gelato himself, is just a high schooler, despite looking like 20-something. But he has to do all these things, other things besides going to school and fighting the evil organization to support the. That seems like a far blacker company than Gecko, the evil society. So that was funny.
Yeah. And I think they even hinted that there's other evil organizations out there and such, but like it was just a fun show to watch every week, and just I think one of my favorite moments was when you find out that the green, what was it, pistachio, and Desumi have known each other for a long time.
Yes.
And he tries to
Trauma.
oh yeah, the mental trauma, but he tries to recruit her and stuff. What ensues after that was hilarious. But throughout the show, we do get to see and explore more about the members of the Gecko. Like, I didn't realize it until I think mid-season, or that the Princess series was a whole big or like the assistants to the main bad guys, right? Because I thought she was like one of the main persons herself, but I guess they're kind of like more or less the assistant to the what they call the animal or the beast series or something like that. I can't remember what they were necessarily called, but I kind of want to know more about this world, and I also see Desumi and Fudo progress. So I'm kind of hoping that they'll continue this in a second season.
I think it's gonna be a long wait because the manga is only like 4 or 5 volumes. I don't know how much they covered, but usually a 12-episode adaptation will cover 3 to 4 volumes at the very least. So it might be a long wait, but yeah, it's I mean that whole part about the women are the head of the minions. All the minions fall under her control, or she leads them, right? And then the Beastmen are the ones that are the actual main fighting force for the evil society. So, and it's funny that all the Ojo, the Princess series, they all go to the same school. So again, for being an evil society, they're like, no, you still have to go to school and study. So that's far better than some of the other depictions of evil society. So I found that funny too.
Yeah. I loved it when Fudo and the father met for the first time, and the father shows him his skills of being blown backwards within the battle.
Yes.
There's just, like I said, this show has a lot of really good moments of comedy within it that I just love. And why I really enjoy this.
It's just such a cute, fluffy show when they go into all the relationship stuff, and there's just a lot of like funny, like comedy antics that happen, and I just very much enjoyed this one.
Yeah, Vinny, you need to watch this.
Yeah, I fell behind on this one too. I watched up to episode 5 or 6, so I'm intending on finishing it.
Nice. Let's see here. Next up, we got what is that? Kaguya-sama? Or no, sorry, Komi. Komi. Do we want to talk about Komi? Or should we go to the next one?
You could
think we can go to
probably
this.
skip it.
Okay.
I kind of want to skip that healer one too, because I don't think anyone has anything nice to say about it.
Oh, the
yeah,
healer
probably.
Mendelsai.
Yeah.
That was awful.
I remember just watching the first episode. I'm just like, huh? I'm confused. What is this supposed to be about? And I was just like, I don't understand anything about it.
Okay, I kind of went too. I didn't go far enough for that. There we go. Here's his title. Tsubaki, or sorry, Kunoichi Tsubaki no Mune no Uchi, also known as In the Heart of the Kunoichi Tsubaki. And I have to say, I was really surprised by how much I like this show. Like, I didn't think it was going to be a show for me, as I guess in a lighter way to say this, they're all like moe type characters, and that's a nicer way of saying it, I think, right? And
Probably.
and it's just like this kind of comedy slice of life of these ninja girls in this village. But as I continued watching it, I was surprised by how much I enjoyed all the arcs going forward, and as we meet the new characters. And it seemed like almost every single episode within this show was to kind of highlight a new team. And we even eventually get to see how the teams were made, which was I thought was kind of hilarious. But the whole thing with this was in this Kunoichi village, these ninja girls, I guess you could say, they're taught to not not associate themselves with men. That men are fearsome beasts. Men are things that you don't want to get close to. But as they are kind of like children, or most of them are children, they all take it as this joke, and even play around with the idea that they belittle the men and think that they're far superior to them, and the head of the village doesn't want that, doesn't want them to look down on them, and wants them to think of them as something fearful, because we find out that the reason why this is happening is with in the past the Kunoichi were eloping with the men and leaving, so they were having a decline of female Kunoichi. So in order to not get them interested in love or interested in the opposite sex, they decide to use this technique of we should fear the men for all the students so that they can keep their Kunoichi. So that's like the background to this. And Tsubaki just so happens to learn of this, but as a young adolescent that's in her height of her curiosity, she just wants to know more and more about the men. And she also doesn't kind of understand her feelings about this, because whenever she thinks about them, she has these strange emotions, like she can't, she gets nervous, her heart beats, she doesn't know how to explain these feelings she has. But as she's going through this, it's just her and her meeting these other team members within the village, and how they kind of associate with each other, and also how she's trying to also help the teacher, since she knows the secret, to get these girls to not think of men as something to make fun of, but as something to fear. But overall, it's a great comedy show, and as you learn more and more about all the different characters and how and their unique personalities, I think it's very fulfilling. And even the thing I like a lot about it is at the end of each episode, you get this like ending theme song that's sung by the different teams. So, like if they showcase the rat team in this episode, at the very end of the episode, you would have the 3 team members of the rat team singing the ending song. and the next episode would be like the rooster, the monkey, the dog team, right? So I thought that was really fun and how they changed each ending. No, I don't think the songs were different. It was just the different singers. But yeah, it was surprisingly enjoyable. That's all I can say about it. So, Vinny, since you kind of started it, I would think you should finish this one too, if you had time, or you get time.
Tsubaki?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit on the low on my priority, but it's one of those. If I have enough time to watch anything. Few episodes I watched, it was cute, so yeah.
Now, another show that was surprisingly decent, I wouldn't say it was great, but it was decent, was this next title. How do you say this? Otome game Sekai wo mob ni kibishii sekai desu.
Good job.
Tap. Yep.
I'm getting better at these, man. I should go to Japan one day. Be pro.
You should.
I'm far from that.
We need to go to Komiket Tank.
Yeah.
Ah.
So, trapped in a dating sim, the world of Otome games is tough for mobs. It's the English translation on for those out there who want to know. And it is fully complete, and it's based off of a light novel, I believe, right?
Yep.
Because I think I saw the light novels on sale on the Google Play Store. And I was kind of tempted to read it because it seems like they only cover the first 3 light novels, and I think there's like 6 or 7 light novels out there right now, so I wonder where they go from where they ended right now. And I kind of also want to know the relationship, which I'm probably guessing, between the new female protagonist and our male protagonist, because I kind of have a suspicion about those two relationship, where I think the female protagonist is the sister of the male protagonist from the first real world.
I mean, Marie is, I guess, well, a protagonist, but she's not the main, right? And yes, you are correct, as far as I know. There were enough hints dropped at it. So.
Yeah.
This show is just self-aware of how, I mean, the first episode pretty much lays out how bad this Otome game is and how you have to, cheat by making microtransactions to win at it. And that whole thing is reflected in the main character's attitude about the whole, being isekai'd into this world. Mob characters, right? So it colors everything that he does, and the fact that was the last game, the last crappy game he had to play for his sister, colors his attitude about the entire world. And it's self-aware of the fact that this world is not very well constructed. It has a lot of weird things in it, and it's just fun because they are self-aware and they're making fun of the entire genre of this the dating sim genre. So I found it quite enjoyable, especially because the main characters can be such a bastard at times. He makes all those goofy faces. The animation is just the eyes still freak me out. And if you just take all the bits and pieces, there's no way this would be a good show, but in fact, it actually was quite enjoyable. because of its self-awareness, and it's willing to make fun of all these things. And there is actual story progression and character arcs. So yeah, surprisingly enjoyable.
I found myself actually rewatching quite a few episodes of this. Even though this show isn't really all that great, I just find myself wanting to rewatch certain things and just having fun, just seeing how he acts and how he just lives his life in this world. And it's kind of funny how everything is always backfiring on him in a way, because he doesn't want to be a protagonist. He wants to live as his mob self, right? He doesn't want to be put into this society. But everything he does kind of backfires in a way where he elevated even higher than probably what he would have gotten. And he just doesn't want it. He wants to live a simple life. And it's kind of, I kind of want to read the light novels and get more on this, because I kind of see how far it's pushed. But I also noticed that there was quite a few play on words in the show for certain jokes. Now they're not anything major, but I almost missed one until I rewatched it. Like the main mecha that he drives is called Aragants. And there's this joke where he's like, "Hey, that's a nice name. What does it mean?" He's like, "Oh, don't worry, you'll find out later." And basically, the whole machine's just called Arrogance, right? Which is like perfect for him. The machine even says it's a perfect name for you, so don't worry about it. And they have like these little play on words and stuff that I think you might catch throughout the show that are just a little bit funny if you do get them. But I'm actually surprised everyone was watching this. So everyone finished it.
Yep.
What'd you think, Vinny?
Part of it reminds me a bit of a Konosuba, in a way that how the main character is very cynical to the fault at times, and also fact that animation quality is really nothing to write home about it, but somehow it works. Because if you watch the Konosuba, it's never gonna get praised for its animation quality, and sometimes it looks very blobby. But what saves is the character, story, and how it somehow all this mismatch fits well together, and in the fact that the main character has a bit of self-awareness of what predicament he's in. And this series, to a lesser degree, reminds me a bit of that. That's main character understands that he's in this awful rigged system that he cannot get out of. Only saving grace being that he played this game until he literally died from it. So he knows ins and outs of how things should work out. And the fact that he's now reborn into this character who's not supposed to be the shining beacon of the hope, he tried to stay out of it, but in the end, he kind of tripped himself into the creating bigger mess every time he goes. So that it doesn't have the same nauseousness of the overpowered harem series where everything just works out his way without no repercussions whatsoever. This one kind of reminds him through and through that every action he takes, there's got a bound to be a side effect that's coming to bite his ass, which does happen. And the twist of the series being that how the woman is really the dominating factor in terms of relationship, that man's are kind of the ones who has to grow over, try to impress a woman during the academy. It feels like I'm watching like a peacock trying to go through like a mating dance ritual, except that he's got the shiny coats and everything, but and yeah, he's still getting jilted by it, oblivious to the fact that the ones that he's trying to distance himself from it is really the one that he should go for. But then him knowing the fact those are really the central character of the series makes him hesitant towards making any moves, so has this weird love triangle-ish kind of a square dancing going on. had this gone forever, probably will get tiresome. But this being a season 1 so far, I find that it's still very much workable. And the fact that supposedly the main character, main protagonist, is such a hopelessly awful and dimwit, which kind of put a chuckles on me to watch it.
Nice. Let's see here. What do we got next? Oh, this is probably. Would you say this is one of your favorite shows this season, Albert? This next one?
What's the next one?
Party P Come?
Come. Yeah. Also known as Ya Boy Come. So, the title alone should tell you that it's not taking it seriously. But yeah, so this is based on the manga, and surprisingly, the animation studio is PA Works, which you know from many. I think their most recent stuff is kind of hit or miss, but probably most people know Shirobako, and the Working Girl series that the others of it, which is Hanasaku Iroha and Sakura Quest, and they've done a whole bunch of others. And I was surprised to find that this is their first manga adaptation. So, first time, I think the director is relatively new too. I might be mistaken about that. But basically, it's kind of an isekai because Kome, as read in Japanese, but Min, who is one of the tacticians from the Three Kingdoms, the Romance of Three Kingdoms story, right? From Chinese history, he dies and awakens to find himself in what he thinks is hell because it's so bright and so noisy, but is in fact modern day Shibuya in Tokyo, where the Halloween party is going. And people recognize his dress and it's like, oh wow, Komin, awesome costume! Your cosplay is on next level. He starts, he's forced to drink and party, and then he meets this one singer in a lounge, Eiko, and he is completely moved by her singing, her voice, everything. And so through a series of coincidences, he becomes kind of her manager, her tactician, so that she can actually become not just a singer in the lounge, but a full-on star, right? So with that ridiculous premise, you have the series. Now, I've heard some criticisms about some of the pacing issues in the middle. Sure, some of the other characters, the fact that this is the typical gotta go find myself and become better than who I was. Sure, but it's also all in execution, how you tell the story, the musical support, that it is a music centered story, so the music has to be good, the singers has to be good, and they did some pretty nifty things. The two main rivals, Nanami and Eiko, their singing voices are not the voice of the voice actors, but they picked actual singers, and those singers actually brought their voices closer with each other so that when they sing, it doesn't seem like it's a different person. So the singer for Eiko is someone called Kuroneko. It's written stylized as 9, 6, and the kanji for cat, but 9 is ku and 6 is roku. So you take the first two, Kuro, and Neko is the character. So Kuroneko is the artist's name. And yeah, the passable English, which they use a lot, pretty decent pop tunes, and yeah, everything about it is, I enjoyed it. Now, I also hear that for the title being Kong Ming is not is only a partner, is only partially in the story, but it's not just about him. It's how he perceives the world, and the world that he came from was everything was high risk, and failure was death. It was war. And here, in some ways, he is fighting, but it's not life and death. It's not your life or your enemy's life. This is about trying to make someone that he admires to succeed, to stardom. So I personally found it to be quite enjoyable. I am not as familiar of the Three Kingdoms as many people. I never played, say, like Dynasty Warriors or any of the games or the RPGs. Or historically, I have watched a few movies. But still, I find that Kong Ming being isekai'd into modern day Japan, I find that intriguing, and how well he adapts, and how well he becomes a manager slash eventually, he's producing her, right? So a producer. So I highly recommend this show. For me, it's probably a 8 or probably a 8 out of 10, maybe even a 9. I don't know. But I recommend this to most people, and I think most people will be surprised at how well it's put together.
I'm gonna have to ask you to send me some clips of music if you could find some for me.
Oh, you could just search for it. The OP is banger. I mean,
The OP is so good. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Oh my god.
So the OP is a Japanese version of a Hungarian pop tune.
Yes. Yes.
Right, so it's great. I never skip the OP, and I also never skip the ED, because the ED is by although the main characters sing it, the actual song is Miharu GT, which was a duo from 10, 15 years ago, and they were quite popular, and they included rap components into their music. So yeah, it makes sense that one of the characters, Kabe Taijin, is a rapper, and all of it kind of ties together in the final episode. So yeah, I highly recommend it. It was just a lot of fun.
All right. So I'm going to skip the next few things here because I don't think none of them are really highlighted, so I don't think anyone was really into them. And we'll go straight to the Shokei Shoujo no Virgin Road. Or the, what was it called? The Executioner in a Way of Life.
Mhm.
I really want to watch this, but I always find myself never going to High Dive, even though I have a High Dive account.
I hear that the High Dive app is absolutely horrible.
So, is it worth it for me to try to go out there and watch it, or?
I mean, on your desktop, probably. I liked it.
From what I can remember, it's been really interesting.
So what happens in this show? Like, is it? I know she's trying to get, what was it, this otherworlder to a different location, right? Or
Yeah.
So like, how was the rest of the show? Was it just more them running into problems as they try to get to the location, or does it progress into different things, or?
From what I remember, they're trying to get into the main church, where the elder that the executioner was talking to and asking advice of what to do with the otherworlder. She's like, okay, take her to me and then we'll figure it out. And so on that like journey, they run into problems, being that they're trying to there are people that's trying to grab the other worlder back, and the last thing I remember was they actually reach that that main cathedral or church, and she's talking to that elder, and I just remember I think they ended up trying to kill the other worlder, but the executioner didn't want her to just die. I think that she wanted to at least try to at least return her back to Japan, but the where I stopped, and I just kind of lost track of the show, and I didn't continue clicking to watch the episodes, because I was getting kind of stuck with homework, and so I was only just watching shows that I wanted to really pay my focus to.
I see.
Yeah, so this was interesting isekai. They do the is just a way to introduce the world, which all these people from modern day Japan were being summoned over the many years, and this culture has kind of the Japanese culture has kind of integrated into society. But at the same time, the summoned people eventually go out of control and create disasters for the people of this world. So I think there are 4 great calamities, and that's why the executioners, the church, as trained executioners, able to kill these people from Japan, isekai people, right? But it turns out, in the first 4 or 5 episodes, there's a further twist where the archpriestess or bishop, I think they call her bishop, the old lady, has manipulated everything so that she's attempting to harvest Akari, the girl from Japan, her powers of time, because she wants to live forever. Turns out. There was a little bit of a spoiler. Okay, so and was never intended to do any of the things that she told men, who was the priestess, main character. So then from there, she continues her kind of trip to try to find a way to kill Akari without letting Akari know. But then you learn during this whole series that Akari actually has used her powers many, many times, and has regressed time from a point where she knows what happens, and she is trying to prevent that, at the same time trying to grant Menon's wish to have Menon kill her, Akari. So it was a kind of an interesting take on isekai. It was very different. I enjoyed that. The characters are very moe, cutesy. The story has a couple of other twists that I won't reveal that I think it's worth watching. And the light novel is not finished, so they have to leave off at some point. But they do encounter a very powerful enemy, which happens to be one of the other calamities, who has escaped partially. So there's that. But yeah, it was a very enjoyable watch. So I would, if you're into isekai and you enjoy something like ReZero, because it's a different take on the typical OP protagonist get isekai, has all these superpowers or lots of money or whatever. ReZero doesn't have much that repeatedly has horrible experiences. Or Konosuba, which is another deconstruction where it's it's just comedy. Wacky things happen because he's self-aware of being an isekai, and the crappy situation he's in because of a goddess that don't really care about him, Aqua, right? So this is just another one of those off-kilter isekai where the isekai world is aware of these people from Japan and that they do not want them actually there. At least the higher ups do not want them because you can either try to use them, but eventually they'll go out of control and destroy your entire world. So it's an interesting take, and if they make a season 2, I'll watch it.
All right. So, for the next show, I'm kind of going to skip Spy Family because that's still going on, and I think everyone's watching it, right?
Wait, what do you mean Spy Family is still going on?
It's slotted for 2 cores, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a split
that how
core,
it-
so yeah, the first 12 episodes is finished, but it won't start up again till fall. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
they decided to split it. That's
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
split
yeah.
core.
So it's technically like over because that's why after we watched the final episode, Tank, I actually posted the trailer for the second core after we watched it.
They tricked me. So I guess we can talk about that. I thought it was going to continue on. So what are your thoughts on how it's progressed so far, everyone, then?
I very much enjoyed Spy Family. It's so good. It's so funny and oh my god, I just have a great time watching it.
So how do you guys feel about the title? Do you guys call it Spy Family or Spy X Family, like a lot of others?
I used to
Spy
call
Family.
it Spy X Family, and then like I was just like told like, oh, like the X is kind of just like a silent thing. It's kind of like Hunter x Hunter, like it shows Hunter x Hunter, but most
I mean, what's there to say? It's probably the #1 most viewed anime of the season. It's also, the production quality is just sky high throughout. Like episode where they went to the castle, that is only a few pages in the manga, but they made a full episode with
whole
fantastic
episode of it, yeah.
animation and spy versus spy type fighting, all of that, just superb, right? And for all 12 episodes, it's just been a fantastic adaptation. So with Studio times Cloverworks, great job. Looking forward. Hopefully they'll get this 1 core break and recharge and be able to complete another great core. And manga, unfortunately, is still ongoing, so you're not going to get a resolution to the entire story arc, but it is extremely popular as far as I can tell in Japan. The manga sales have skyrocketed yet again, and the anime is very, very well received as far as I can tell.
If I had to describe this show in one word, it would be elegant. But I think we could leave it at that since, I mean, it's that famous, I believe. Everyone's, as far as artists are drawing characters from Yor to Anya.
Yeah.
A lot of memes of, what is that? I am not a something, I am not a god, or I am Anya, or something like that. I can't remember how that thing goes.
And then also like just the meme of like adding Anya into like different mangas.
But, did you want to cover Summertime Reader, or should we go past that? Albert?
We can probably skip it. It's a 2-core show, so it's still ongoing.
All right.
It kind of went all crazy around episode 5. So once we finish it, I'll render a judgment. But it went super crazy. Episode 5, kind of, yeah, kind of took me out of the series.
Okay, then next after that, I guess, is what is this called? Tate. Get off the way, thingy. Oh, Tate no Yusha no
Yusha Yamaha.
Nari Agari Season 2. Or The Rise of the Shield Hero Season 2.
Yes.
Oh, is there still one more episode, it says here?
There's still one more episode. I just looked at Mal and it says that it should be going for 13 episodes.
Wow. Well, they kind of left it off at a good ending place, I thought, so... The fact that there's another episode, it's probably just going to set up for the next season.
Possibly.
So, I believe...
I mean, like, the way that it left off, I was like... what were you going to say, Ken?
Oh, no, continue.
Oh, okay, I was just going to say, like, the way that they were ending, like, the episode seemed like that was going to be the final episode. So, like, when I watched it, I was like, oh, wow, this is it. This is the end of season 2. Because, like, they started, like, going into, like, you know, like, they started, like, showing, like small snippets of them being back into their own world. And it kind of, like, showed, like, I remember you saying, like, oh, whoa, like, it's those characters from, like, I can't believe, like, we get to see those characters now. So I was like, oh, so this is probably, like, just the setup for, like, a 3rd season, maybe. So that's why, like, I very much thought, oh yeah, this is the final episode. But yeah.
So, the thing about for the season 2 that I thought was kind of enjoyable was, like, I think it was season 1 was 2 cores, right? With multiple story arcs. But it seemed like the season 2 was just one kind of continuous arc throughout the whole thing. With the introduction of the spirit tortoise, right? Or something like they called it like that, right?
Mm-hmm. The spirit tortoise.
And so it was this whole arc kind of revolving around that and how they resolved the whole issue with that for this whole season. So so it's slightly different from how the first season went, where he had multiple small arcs to kind of, I guess, build the relationship between him and his companions and how he and set up the world and everything. Fairly fun, but the thing about it I thought was that you got to see a lot of development with Rusia, which was the newest companion that they got with her, or with them. And I don't remember her development being that big within the web novel that I read. Maybe I just kind of forgot about her, but
Oh, interesting.
within this show, or maybe even the light novels even, her development grew very, very big. And also just I kind of was also a little bit sad with the lack of the Wrath Shield, because I always thought the Wrath Shield was a cool thing. Because I always thought Naofumi, being this guy that hated the world and wanted to destroy the world, was a fun little aspect within this show. But you didn't really see that too much here in this season. But overall, I think it was a decent thing, and it was all new to me because none of this really ever happened within the web novel I read. So I did enjoy it for that because it was all new. But I kind of wonder how others felt about it if they've read the light novel, because I think it follows more or less the light novel and even the manga closer. Because I've read some of the manga, and I saw a lot of the things happen in the manga that happened here, so.
I haven't read any of it. I've just been watching the anime.
Mm-hmm. So what did you think of the development?
I thought it was interesting. When I watched the first episode, I thought they were just like immediately gonna be picking up where they last left off from the first season, but from like the first episode, we can see there was like a time, like a gap between like what happened from the end of the first season to the second season. So I was like, kind of like, okay, I should probably just go like read the manga or read like the light novel to like at least like understand what happened at this like little gap portion. But I thought it was like really interesting how season 2 progressed, and that like, oh, like, you know, they had this one, like the whole spirit tortoise arc and need to kill that, and then you find out that that the spirit tortoise was awakened from one of the other like heroes from another world, and who's trying to like gain more power to enact the waves. And I was like, whoa, like it seemed it went deep into a direction that I didn't think it was going to go. And I was like, this is very interesting.
The only thing I can say about this show that really confused me was the hero thing within the other world, because they had them called cardinal heroes and they also called them imperial heroes. And then there was like so many heroes in this other world that I was kind of like, what's going on? Like, who are the
Yeah, because
actual...
it wasn't like Naofumi's world, where like we knew for sure there's only 4 heroes named the cardinal heroes, and they each wielded one of the 4 cardinal weapons, being the sword, the shield, the spear, and the bow. But then like in the other world, like it seemed like they just had a weapon for like almost everything. It's like there was like the fishing rod, the axe, the fan, the tone, a boat, a mirror. Like it just kept going. So it was like, it just, I don't know like how their naming conventions worked in the other world, but yeah.
So I kind of wish they would have given us more information on that, because that's the only thing that was kind of confusing me throughout the whole thing. But other than that, I think it was still really enjoyable. I especially liked how certain scenes near the end played out, especially when Raftalia and Naofumi meet again. That was a nice, heartwarming moment. Like I said, Rushia's development was really surprising to me, and even Naofumi and his development, I kind of wanted to know where it's gonna go from now on, because of what happened with him and the raft shield at the end. So I want to see. It's going to be kind of exciting to see what happens with it if they make the next season. But I think it'll probably be another wait, because I don't know how much content they have out there.
Definitely. I think there's definitely going to be another wait. Because, like, if it took, like, how many years was it from between first and second season?
Was it? I don't know. I always get confused on time. I honestly want to say it's only been 2 years.
Like, I want to say it was, like, maybe 3 years, probably. But, like there was definitely, like, a time gap between the first and the second, so I don't know how much how long it'll take for them to actually start making the third season.
All right. So I think the last few titles, Dragon, you're the only one who's seen them all. Did you want to talk about Tomodachi Game or Yusha Yametsu?
I mean, I can talk about Tomodachi Game a little bit, and I can talk about Yusha Yametsu just a little bit as well. So for Tomodachi Game, it was... I thought they were gonna be very, because, the whole premise seemed kind of just almost... I thought they were just gonna, get it a rip of, maybe, Squid Game, but, it was definitely an interesting watch in seeing, and kind of like figuring out like who it was that entered them into the game, because the only reason that they're in the Tomodachi game is that someone entered like their whole group into that game, and so like we kind of just see like we kind of like try to figure out through the minds like who could it have been that entered the game, and we do find out who it is, and like the reasoning behind it was like also really like interesting as well, because I remember watching it and I'm just like, man, this guy is just like a weird stalker, and like he's just trying to get back because probably because the reason why is like there's a girl within that friend group that knows the guy that entered them into the Tomodachi game, and somehow she ruined his life, and so to try to get back at her, he enters them into the game to try to reveal secrets about her, so that so that he can basically break up like all the like the friendships she had within the group, and like turn her image into something like soured and terrible. And it was very interesting because we find out one character has like a very dark past, and it was a very like interesting watch. I don't know if I'd like highly recommend it. If anything, I just like be like, okay, like if you have time and you want to try something out, give Tomodachi Watch a try. I will say there are like definitely moments of violence. There are definitely like moments that kind of talk about like rape without the G. But that's just like some warnings if you do not want to watch something with that kind of stuff. But definitely an interesting watch, I would say. And for Yusha Yamamas, this one's kind of just like almost like a turn off your brain watch almost. It's like interesting because like, oh, like, you know, we always see like just the journey of the hero trying to like defeat the Demon King, or in this case the Demon Queen, but instead in here he actually does defeat the Demon Queen, but we kind of go further beyond that point. Like we don't see him really defeat the Demon Queen, we just know that he does, and we see like little bits of like kind of like flashbacks of like how he's fighting her generals and then eventually fighting her and defeating her. But the whole portion that we see is basically this like after portion where he's like trying to join up with the Demon Queen, and he's like, I don't want to be a hero anymore, I want to be amongst your like ranks in the demon army. And then it's very interesting because the whole reason why he does that is because well, he says the reason why he wants to join is because he wants to get back at humanity, because after he fights the Demon Queen, like basically that's the last main threat in that world. And at that point, like he's just kind of like when he was still in the kingdom where humanity is residing, like people started kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? They were like almost like afraid of what power he has, like because they knew like he was so strong, but like they were all kind of getting like anxious and scared that he could possibly like be like turned into a monster because of how powerful he is. And so that's when like the whole kingdom was starting to just like be like kind of trashy to him. And so from what he says to the Demon Queen, it's like, I want to join because humanity just tossed me aside. They no longer want me, and they're treating me as if I'm already like a demon. So then his logic is like, if they're treating me like a demon, I should just join amongst the demon army. But we find out that's not really the reason why, and that he has a huge history, being that he was made, like, he was created like thousands of years ago, and that the whole world they're on is actually Earth, but it's been like devolved because a portal opened from the demon world, and there was a demon invasion, and eventually what Earth that we knew was just lost, and eventually just turned into this fantasy world that we see in Yusha Yamamas. But the hero Leo, he was built during our time, and basically he's been alive all the way from the point that he was created to what we see in the show. So he has like memories of being like in what they call our age, the mechanical age, and it was just kind of like interesting that like, oh, like the hero is basically like a robot that was created to help protect humanity, but is now so overpowered that he like eventually like learns like magic, and we get into the fantasy side, and it was like a turn off your brain kind of watch. And like if you like kind of like that kind of story like aspect, like finding out like, oh, like it's not like really just full on fantasy, it's just something that evolved into fantasy. It's kind of interesting.
So they had that
And yeah,
twist at the
about
end.
it. Yeah, so it's like we find out this twist that like he's actually like a robot, I think somewhere within the middle
So I don't
of the series.
I don't know if I would say robot, but more like a biological weapon. I think it was more or less I thought that he was.
Yeah, and that's the term that they did use, a biological weapon.
Because, like, I don't think he was robotic in any way, but he was grown to be this way. But, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm only saying this based off of the manga, because I haven't watched the anime, but I've read the manga.
Oh, okay. I kind of got impatient because the last few episodes is like a big battle, and they kept like ending it within the battle, and so I kind of got impatient. I'm like, okay, I'll just read what happens for this battle, and then I just watched it when it came out. But yeah, it was interesting, and they're doing a small little like spin-off right now for it, or like an OVA basically. Yeah.
That's cool. All right, so I think that'll be it for today. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. Albert,
Thank you.
thank you for taking time out of your busy workday to join us for this all the time.
Yeah, it was fun.
Vinny, I'd like to say thank you. I know you haven't had much time yourself, but every contribution helps.
Thanks for having me.
Dragon, once again, thank you for joining us for the set of the season. If you plan on joining us more, we'll make you an avatar here in a bit. So you can have
I
your
will
own.
let you know. I don't know if I will, because I will probably have to go back into school at some point again soon. So.
All right. But I'd like to thank everyone that's in here. And also, we got Sean in chat. Hey, thank you for watching. GG, he says. We also have Neoyama, Sakuhei, and everyone else that was there in chat. I'd like to say thank you for being with us. The next season of anime is coming out probably within this week or next week. I think it's next week, right? Or probably going to be the main drop of episode 1s. So
Yeah. Although Ruby already dropped the first 3 episodes, so.
Yes, I heard about that.
And if you're watching this live right now, they do have what is it called? Fruit Baskets Prelude movie that's being in theaters. I think they showed the first showing on Saturday, and then we should have another showing on Tuesday and Wednesday. So if you have check your local theaters to see if you can if that's playing near you, and you can probably check that out. I know they're doing both dubs and sub listings at different places, so you have that chance. And other than that, I don't know. Do you guys have any ideas of any other movies that are coming out, or?
Cat's Return is tonight and tomorrow night. So
Yep.
Sunday, which is today, and also Monday night.
Isn't Deer King coming out soon?
That's coming
Deer
out in
King
July
should be
sometime.
next month.
Right.
I think. What was it? It's like mid-July, I think, from what I remember.
And I guess we never talked about Fortune Favors Nikuko. Yeah. That came out last month. Did it?
I wanted to watch it, but I got busy and I couldn't watch it.
Yeah, they only had it for one night.
What was it again?
Fortune Favors Lady Nikuko.
Oh, that's right. Isn't Macross Frontier movie coming out this week too? Like on Friday?
It is.
Second part comes out this
It
Friday, I think.
It is. I remember seeing that when going through the movie app I use.
Yeah, so there's also that movie. So if you're into the Macross,
Macross is coming Thursday on at my theater, so it might be Thursday or Friday or.
Yeah, it's a
well,
Thursday. Yeah.
I
Okay.
thought it was Friday.
Is that through Fathom events or G Kids? Do you know?
It's I think it's a Fathom event.
Okay,
I think it was.
I'll check it out. And I think later in the summer, I know G Kids picked up Inuo, which is by the Science Saru. So that's gonna be. I don't think dates have been announced, but I believe it's supposed to be later this summer.
All right. Well, thank you for all that information. Sean wants to know if there's anything good next season. Everything's good, Sean. Everything's good, especially the super long titles that are isekai. You want to watch all the
The
isekai?
Devil is a part-timer. Finally, a season 2 after 8 years.
Really?
But
Yeah, after 8 years.
We'll cover it in the previews, in about 3 weeks, so Sean can listen and decide if anything's good at that point.
yeah, we'll let you know, Sean. We'll let you know. But other than that, I'd like to thank everyone once again, and that'll be it for today. We'll see you next month, everyone. Have a nice summer, or end of the spring, right? Summer already started technically, I believe, right? So,
Oh,
Yes.
and yeah, it's the
Yeah.
summer now.
so
So have a good summer.
bye bye or bye bye.